Hey, hockey fans, welcome to Goal Line Hockey, and we're going to take a look at the New York Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round matchup in the Metropolitan Division. The New York Islanders sweep the Pittsburgh Penguins, a team that won the Cup two of the last three seasons, two in a row, and then the Carolina Hurricanes, who did the impossible. They were down 3-2 heading into Game 6, won Game 6, and then they go on to win Game 7 in double overtime. Brock McGinn, the Washington Capitals, the Metropolitan Division champs, the Stanley Cup champions, looking to continue their reign, have been knocked out. And now it's the New York Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. One of these two teams who has not won a playoff series or two playoff series heading to the last time Carolina went this deep, they won the Stanley Cup. So every time Carolina seemingly makes the playoffs, they go on a pretty good run. We'll see what happens here. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe. And who's going to win this series? Let's get right down to it. All right, so taking a look at the forwards here. I love both of these teams' forwards. Carolina has some guys like Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Warren Fogle, Brock McGinn, who came up big in Game 7, Teuvo Teravainen, Jordan Staal. You go down the list, right? They've got some really great forwards there in Carolina. Michael Furlan. You go down the list. Really some great hockey players for the Carolina Hurricanes, and a big reason why they are here in the second round. The Islanders, Jordan Eberle, Anders Lee, Matt Barzal, Valtteri Filppula, Matt Martin in the bottom six. So the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes have some really great matchups in their top six and bottom six, and they're fairly evenly matched. The Islanders are definitely a little bit bigger in terms of, playing a big, mean game, and the Hurricanes play more of a speed game, trying to just, gun it, get it through, and that has certainly changed a little bit more under Rod Brendamore, who is definitely a more defensive outlook, more structured than other coaches have been in Carolina, but they definitely do, especially led by their owner, Tom Dundon. He likes the speed game. He likes the guy scoring a lot of goals. I don't know how well it's going to work out in this series, because once we look at the defense, the Islanders had the least goals against in the NHL this season. Best goaltenders in the NHL. We'll get into that later, but I don't know how much Tom Dundon's going to like this series. If the Islanders are able to play the way they did against the Pittsburgh Penguins, don't expect anything more than 3-1, 2-1, 1-0 victories in this series, going to overtime and things like that. I just really, the Islanders defense, there's no big noticeable names except really, you got Nick Leddy, Johnny Boychuk, Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulak, those two have really, they locked down the top line of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the last series. Sidney Crosby, Jake Gensel. So you could argue that that is a tougher lineup compared to what that top pairing will have to deal with in this round. Pelech and Pulak will probably be looking at Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, and Andrei Svechnikov. So we'll see how that dynamic works, but they're a little bit bigger. Aho, not so much. He's definitely more like Crosby. Gensel, another small guy, kind of like, Teuvo Teravainen. And Svechnikov is a bigger guy, but I don't know how I feel about him in the second round. And he's been injured. He was on concussion protocol, so who knows what's the verdict on Svechnikov at this point. But the Islanders' defense is really, really solid, and we saw that in the first round and throughout most of the season. And meanwhile, the Carolina Hurricanes are a much more, offensive-looking defense. You've got Brett Pesce, Dougie Hamilton, some of the young guys as well. Like, you still have Justin Falk. So Calvin Haan, a former New York Islander, so I'm sure that'll be a little bit of a storyline here in these playoffs. This is a great matchup. I would expect guys like Dougie Hamilton and things like that, they will probably be trying to shut down the Islanders' top line, I would assume. Dougie Hamilton will probably, try and get on the ice whenever Matt Barzal is out there, and we'll see how this works out. But I like the Islanders' depth in terms of their defense, but Carolina's defense in terms of depth is really solid. I mean, they've got some guys down there that they could really throw anybody in. And now that Johnny Boychuk is hurt, that's now Thomas Hickey comes in, which is fine. But anything after that, I'm starting to get a little bit worried with the Islanders' defense. I mean, you still have Devin Tays and Mayfield who have played pretty respectable hockey, but how do those guys handle possible matchups with the top six of the Carolina Hurricanes? Looking at the season series now, so the Islanders win that 3-1. The Islanders won 2-1 in overtime in the first meeting, the first game of the season between these two teams down in Carolina. 2-1 Islanders again, 4-1 Islanders, and then 4-3 Carolina. So if you catch the pattern here, what did I say earlier? What kind of series are we looking at? 2-1, 2-1, 4-1, 4-3. Now the odd one there being the Carolina win, and they scored a lot of goals. So if Carolina can score goals on the Islanders here, they're going to be playing the Carolina game. And we saw that even in the first game of the playoffs, in the first round for the Islanders against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They had to go to overtime to win that game one, because the Islanders said it after the game. They felt like they were playing the style that the Penguins play, more run and gun and not as defensively structured, and dumping the puck down, winning puck battles, making the other team play a 200-foot game. We didn't see that as much as the series went along. So can Carolina handle the Islanders kind of being an opportunistic team, kind of being patient, waiting them out, and then kind of taking their opportunities when they can and holding on to leads? And we saw the Islanders do a great job of that in round one. Can they keep that up here in round two? So my prediction for this series is the Islanders are going to win this series in 6 games. So the reason I say that is the Islanders they're well rested, and I think that's going to end up being possibly a detriment early. I think there could be a problem in game one where the Islanders could maybe lose game one, and then they take 2 of 3 in games 2 to 4. So now you got 2-2, and then the Islanders win game 5 at home, and then you win game 6 in Carolina. We've seen the Islanders not have too much of an issue winning on the road. They swept the Penguins in round one, a very hostile environment, and I would expect more of the same from the Carolina Hurricanes. So really exciting. And just looking at these two teams, who really expected the New York Islanders to knock off the Pittsburgh Penguins, and let alone the Carolina Hurricanes knocking off the defending Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals? So some really exciting hockey. The Islanders have had 10 days off now, and things will start up again. And, I think that could prove to be an issue early in the series. But I think the Islanders, the way they play, they're going to really, Carolina, obviously in Game 7, went to 7 games, double overtime, one of the third longest overtime, Game 7 overtime in NHL history. That's gonna wear out the Hurricanes. They gave a lot in that first round, and we'll see what happens. Will Mrazek be able to duel with Robin Lehner? Lehner's been a really good goaltender, and we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching us here at Goal Line Hockey. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon.